Welcome to PST Channel, Game Story, Movie Style, for your busy days. Today, we journey back to the PS1 era with its historical classic JRPG, Genso Suikoden 1. The remaster offers a fantastic chance to relive the greatness of this classic war and strategy story, a beloved series known for its flexible recruitment and rich character lore. Let's begin our storytelling. 15 years after the War of Succession, the Scarlet Moon Empire enjoyed peace. Then, Emperor Barbarossa commanded General Teo to defend the northern border against Joustin City. He gifted Teo his sword, Prak, and appointed Teo's son, Tir, as a guard under Imperial Guard Commander Kraz. Back home, Tir's friend Gremio congratulates him. While his stepbrother Ted inquired about the court magician, Windy. At dinner, Teo announced his mission and entrusted Tir to his family members, Cleo, Pawn, Gremio, and Ted. The next morning, Tir and his family reported to Kraz. Kraz's first mission, retrieve astrological readings from Letnot the Seer on Magician's Island, northeast of Gregminster, the Empire's capital. Kraz arranges a Dragon Knight ride. Tir met Futch, a Dragon Knight apprentice, and his dragon, Black. They took flight. En route, the magician Luke tested Tir's group before guiding them to Letnot. Letnot delivered the readings, a grim prophecy for Tir, painful choices and sorrow awaited. She gifted Cleo a fire crystal for protection. Luke, a wind rune user, runes are magic letters, teleported them back, explaining runes were the source of magic. Returning with the readings, Tir's clan gets assigned a new mission, collect taxes from Rockland, east of Gregminster, accompanied by his assistant, Canon. Traveling to Rockland, Tir questioned Rockland's commander Grady about tax issues. Grady blamed bandits on Mountain Sifu, requesting Imperial Guard intervention. In a cave, they encountered a tough monster. Ted used a rune to banish it into a black hole. Ted promised explanations later. Bandits were the immediate problem. After defeated the bandit leader Varkas, they capture the gang and return to Rockland. Tir's clan sees Imperial soldiers are abusing villagers, so they intervene. When reported to Grady, Varkas protested, accusing Grady of tax theft, but Grady silences and imprisons Varkas. Grady rewards Tir's group with money, but Canon keeps it. Back in Gregminster, Canon dismisses everyone but Ted, then reports to Kraz. Later, Tir finds Ted unconscious, magically wounded. Ted explained Windy had attacked him for his Soul Eater rune. Barely escaping using its power. Ted reveals the Soul Eater is one of 27 true runes. He has fled Windy for 300 years. He entrusted the rune to Tir, begging for protection from Windy. Pawn then arrives with Kraz and guards to arrest Ted. Ted goes with them, creating a diversion for Tir's escape north from Gregminster. Fleeing, Tir's group is aided by Victor, who bribes a city gate guard. Victor directs them to Lenincamp, then departs to make arrangements. At a Lenincamp inn, they find guards are hunting refugees. Odessa, hidden in their room, leads them through secret passages. They rejoin Victor underground. Odessa reveals she leads the Liberation Army, rebels against the Empire. Victor invites Tir's group to join. Tir, General Teo's son, needed time to consider. Emerging from the waterway, they encounter a bandit reporting Varkas and Sidonia's imminent execution without trial, even though they are targeting only the Imperial army. Tir resolves to rescue them from Grady's mansion. Victor set Grady's mansion ablaze to distract guards. Tir's group breaks in and frees Varkas and Sidonia. Sidonia reveals warp magic but refuses to leave alone. Grady, terrified, flees to alert the Imperial guards. Varkas thanks Odessa. His bandits join the Liberation Army. Back in Lenin camp, Odessa speaks of the Fire Spear, a weapon from dwarf mines. She tasks Tir to deliver blueprints to the Liberation Factory in Sarity Village. Odessa entrusts Liberation leadership to Flick and joins Tir's group. En route, they stay at Ledon's Inn and are drugged. Kessler, Ledon's boss, orders an antidote and pledges alliance with the Liberation. In Sarity Village, at an inn, Odessa confesses doubts about her leadership and urges Tir to join the cause. Kage, a man sent by Mo's factory chief, arrives. Odessa gave him the blueprints. Returning to Lenin camp, they find people injured at the inn, blaming Imperial soldiers' attack. Odessa abruptly leaves. Following her to the waterway, they find her gravely wounded. She has two requests for Tir: deliver her earring to Matthew in Saika village, and secretly dispose of her body in the stream to maintain Liberation morale. They journey to Quaba Fortress, the passage to Saika. Cleo notes Commander Einjid is an old friend of Teo. Tir, Gremio, Cleo, and Victor uses false names to enter. Einjid recognizes Tir anyway, urging him to care for his father. In Saika, Matthew rejects Odessa's earring. Lord Qasim's guards arrive, orders to bring Matthew back to Imperial Army service, claiming him a hero of Kaleka. They seize children as hostages. Tir's group intervenes. After drove off the guards, Matthew acknowledges Odessa as his sister. He admits his aversion to war and killing, contrasting with Odessa's resolve, calling himself a coward. He vows to fight for liberation, urging Tir to lead and recruit like-minded individuals, suggesting the abandoned Torin Castle on Lake Torin as a base. Traveling to Kaku village, Camille demands Gremio repay a debt, Teo's banquet bill. Victor asks if Camille knew Tai Ho, who might provide funds. Camille joined to recover her money. They meet Tai Ho, a sailor who can boat them to monster-filled Torin Castle, but only if Tir wins a gamble. Tir wins the bet. Tai Ho orders Yamku to prepare for sailing. Arriving at Torin Castle, Tai Ho joins the exploration. They defeat a zombie dragon, clearing the fog, and claim the castle. Gathering in the castle, Letnat appears, gifting Tir the stone tablet of promise for inscribing companions' names. She allows Luke to join the clan and vanishes. Matthew suggests recruiting Lepant in Quinn Town. En route, Tir recruits inventor Sergei, Chef Marie, Elder Onel, peddler Chandler, weapon refiner Moss, bath expert Sasuke, and stick fighter Kai. In Quinn, Giovanni, Lepant's aide, says Lepant is unavailable. Tir learns from Kryn that Lepant values his wife, Eileen, and his sword, Kurinji. Kryn helps stealing Kurinji, luring Lepant from his mansion. Kryn plans to drug Tir's group for stealing Kurinji, but they outsmart him. Lepant arrives to reclaim Kurinji. Tir mentions Matthew. Lepant demands his sword back, unwilling to betray the Empire, yet not wanting personal conflict. Giovanni interrupts, revealing Commander Kraz had kidnapped Eileen. Lepant and Tir's group rush to her rescue. The clan meets Kraz. Kraz orders Pawn to fight them, but Pawn betrays Kraz and saves Eileen. Kraz run away. Disappointed of the Empire, Lepant and Eileen joins the Liberation Army. Pawn joins too. At Torin Castle, Varkas and Sidonia joins the Liberation. When Varkas asks about Odessa, Matthew lies, saying she is on a mission. Matthew suggests a welcome banquet and announces Tir as leader. During the feast, a figure in black tries to steal Tir's rune. After being defeated, he runs away. Liberation soldiers guard Tir that night. Outside Torin Castle, Tir finds Kirkis unconscious. When Kirkis wake up, he begs Tir to stop Imperial General Quanda Rossman's plan to exterminate elves. Matthew disagrees because their army is too small and lacks information. Kirkis offers to lead them to his village. On the way, Tir recruits Gasper the Gambler, Meg the Trickster, and Sheena, Lepin's son. In Great Forest Village, elves are excited to see Kirkis. Kirkis leads them through a secret trail to avoid attention. They pass a magically protected area to Kobold Village, finding it deserted. A kobold, Kuramami, explained his friends were captured, and everyone was sick. Kirkis wants to gather information in his village first. At the village of elves, Tir sees the elf chief arguing with a human woman, Valeria, about elf extermination. Valeria warns the elves that Quanda will destroy them and the forest. She considers the forest her home too. But the elf chief orders guards to lock her up. At the chief's house, Kirkis explains he sought help from the Liberation Army. The chief refuses to listen and orders the clan confined. In jail, they meet Valeria and Stallion. Valeria reveals Quanda's burning mirror weapon will destroy the forest. Sylvina, the elf chief's granddaughter, questions Kirkis' concern for humans, whose lifespans are short, that why elves and dwarves look down on humans. But Kirkis disagrees, questioning the hatred between humans, elves, and dwarves. Sylvina, unable to answer, opens the jail door. Stallion bolts. Valeria joins Tir. They plans to learn about the burning mirror in Dwarves Village and escape. On their way, they meet Kuromi. He says the dwarves hadn't shared any cure information for Kobold and leaves. Arriving at Dwarves Village, Kirkis speaks to the dwarf chief, who doubts if humans can steal the burning mirror blueprint, a dwarf's invention. Valeria identifies Kage as the thief. The dwarf chief challenges Tir to steal the running water route from his vault to prove their accusation. The clan solves the vault puzzle and obtains the running water route. Impressed, the dwarf chief agrees to build a firewind cannon to destroy the burning mirror. Once finished, he promises it to Tir's group. Kirkis suggests sharing this news with his village first. Returning, they see the village of elves burning. Arriving, nothing remains. Kirkis has planned to give Sylvina a ring, but she was gone. Gremio urges defeating Quanda and destroying the burning mirror to prevent further tragedy. En route, they find Kuromi is pursued by Imperial soldiers in the Great Forest. Soldiers also want Valeria as a traitor. She surrenders to allow Tir's group to escape. But the soldiers intend to kill all elves, kobolds, and traitors. As Tir's group is overwhelmed, Matthew and the Liberation Army arrive, forcing the soldiers to retreat. Stallion had warned Matthew about the burning mirror, enable the Liberation Army to rescue elf villagers in time. Sylvina survived. Matthew announces Humphrey and Sanchez had reached Torin Castle with old Liberation Army members. They now have the strength to fight Quanda. Tir orders the Liberation Army to attack the Imperial Army. When the Imperial Army is defeated, Quanda tries to use the burning mirror. Matthew orders dispersal to minimize casualties. The dwarf chief uses the firewind cannon to destroy the burning mirror. Disarmed, Quanda is confronted in his castle. He unleashes the power of a black rune from Windy. After defeated Quanda, Kuromi asks him to help the sick kobolds, victims of the Black Rune's influence. The rune's power surged, altering Quanda's personality. He confesses the Black Rune bends his will, fearing Windy will betray Emperor Barbarossa. Quanda begs Tir to kill him, but Tir offers him a place in the Liberation. Rejoining Matthew, Kuromi's family arrives and gets cured. Back at Torin Castle, the castle is bustling with new recruits. Tir sees Flick asking to meet Odessa. Matthew explains the truth of Odessa's death. Her final wish is to keep the Liberation united, hence his initial lie. Flick is heartbroken as Odessa loves her and leaves. Tir and Victor follow Flick, who ultimately prioritizes the Liberation and rejoins Tir. Back at Torin Castle, Flick shares intel. His former Liberation faction had been crushed and captured in Milich's territory. He urges the new Liberation Army to unite with his old forces at Garan Fortress in Milich's domain. The Liberation Army defeats the Imperial Army at Garan and advances to Scarlet Castle. A poisonous pollen spell forces Liberation's retreat. Matthew sends a scouting party for an antidote. Victor asks Gremio to remain with the main force, but Gremio insists on staying with Tir. Victor warns Tir to be grown up. On their mission, Tir's group defeats Angie at Pirate's Fortress, gaining his troops as allies. Needing a boat for passing Dunan's Rapids, they enlist Jen, a boat maker, and Kamendal, a Tyan scientist, to build an oil-powered boat, the Premier Lamore. They stay overnight in Rickon Village, while Jen and Kamendal work for a boat. That night, Gremio worries about being overprotective of Tir. Once the boat was finished, they go to Leocon's hermitage to request the antidote. Milich, the flower general from Scarlet Castle, intervenes. Milich abducts Lucan and flies a dragon to Sonier prison. Tir's group returns to Torin Castle. Matthew suggests recruiting Kimberly, a counterfeiter, and Tesla, a clerk from Antii, for aid. Kimberly agrees to join if Flick dines with her. The next day, Kimberly mentions that Tesla now went by name Albert. Making Tesla joined, the clan returns to Torin Castle. Matthew explains Kimberly and Albert can forge Imperial papers for easy access to Sonier prison. They rescue Lucan but are trapped by Milich. Milich shatters a vial of spores of agony, man-eating spores, then locks them in with the spores and flees. Gremio held a lever to open the door, allowing the clan to escape, sacrificing himself to keep it open. Later, Matthew opens the door, finding only Gremio's clothes. They have to escape before Imperial soldiers arrived. At Torin Castle, Victor urges an immediate attack on Scarlet Castle. Lucan has finished the antidote, so Matthew agrees. Tir leads the Liberation Army, defeating the Imperial Army and breaching Scarlet Castle. As they move to burn a giant rose, Milich stops them. Milich's hand is burned by black rune power. The Liberation, wanting revenge for Gremio, moves to kill Milich, but Matthew notices the rune and stops them. Milich asks to join Tir, seeking to show Emperor Barbarossa Windy's evil influence, different from Empress Claudia. Stallion warns of approaching Imperial reinforcements. The Liberation Army retreats to Torin Castle. At Torin Castle, Kasumi, a ninja from Raka Village, requests Liberation support. Rakaku, long independent, is now under attack by General Teo's forces. Her leader, Hanzo, seeks the Liberation's aid. The Liberation Army loses a battle. General Teo orders Alan and Grenziel to crush them. Pawn challenges Teo to a duel, buying time for Tir's escape. Teo loses and retreats. Pawn wonders if Teo let them go on purpose. That night, Letnot visits Tir in Torin Castle. She explains, Windy was her older sister, both survivors of the Gate clan. Tir's Soul Eater rune is a powerful true rune, not yet fully awakened. Windy, wielding the Gate rune, wants the Soul Eater for more power and revenge. Only Tir can stop her. In the morning, Flick suggests finding the Fire Spear to counter armored Imperial cavalry. Odessa mentioned it is in a secret factory north of here. At the secret factory, they find Ledon and Kessler defeated by Ronnie. Ronnie, recognizing Tir as the Liberation leader, reports to Mose. Ledon and Kessler explain that Imperial bandits drove them out of their mountain. They want to join the Liberation. Inside, Tir tells Mose about Odessa's death. Mose offers the Fire Spear, but they need boats. Tai Ho suggests his friend, Kuintu, in Kirov can help. Mose agrees to join the liberation there. In Kirov, Taiho talks to Kuan-tu, while Mose and Ronnie load fire spears onto 10 boats outside Kuan-tu's house. Tir leads the liberation to victory using fire spears. Tir duels and defeats Teo. Teo frees Alan and Grenseal. The Soul Eater rune levels up upon Tir's father's death. Back at Torin Castle, Lepin announces the liberation can free most of the Empire. Rebellions are erupting everywhere. He plans to unite rebel factions. Kasumi reports Imperial troops has withdrawn from Lorimar, offering a chance to seize Lorimar Fortress. They enter unopposed, finding only tombs dug out. At Warrior's Village, they see Hicks and Zorak trying to stop Tanger from hunting a monster. Zorak, recognizing Tir, explains General Necklord had turned his men into zombies 3 months prior, demanding women from villages. Only Warrior's Village, descendants of Cliff the Crusader, refused. After hearing the village history, Tir learns Cleo had lived here, encouraging Hicks's strength. Victor reveals Necklord is a vampire, empowered by a rune, who destroyed Victor's village and family, turning them into zombies. This fueled Victor's revenge quest. The next morning, Necklord and zombies attack, demanding Tanger. Tir's group intervenes, but Necklord turns into bats invulnerable against the attack. He kidnaps Tanger. Zorak suggests a weapon against vampires at Klon Temple. At Klon Temple, Fukian declares Tir destined to lead the 108 stars of heaven and earth, everyone born under a star. Cleo, star of heavenly fulfillment, Tir, star of heavenly guidance. He directed them to the Star Dragon Sword in the Cave of the Past. Cursed by the sword, they are sent to the past in 300 years ago, to the village of Hidden Runes. Tir found young Ted, the village chief's grandson, before Windy and Necklord appeared, demanding the Soul Eater rune. As they burned the village, the chief used the Soul Eater to teleport everyone to a secret room, giving the rune to Ted, warning against its power. He asked Tir to protect Ted while he distracted Windy. Windy's subordinate Uber blocked them, but Necklord intervened, taking Uber to Windy. After Windy left, a light appeared, warping Tir's group back to the present, leaving Ted behind. In the present, the Star Dragon Sword chooses Victor to wield it against vampires. Returning to Warrior's Village, they find Zorak leading troops to rescue Tanger from Necklord's castle. Hicks joins Tir to infiltrate the castle. Inside, they defeat Necklord. The Star Dragon Sword reveals that it is the Night Rune transformed, and Necklord, for 500 years, is Servant of Darkness. Victor kills Necklord with the sword. Hicks rescues Tanger. Zorak and his troops joins the liberation. Victor departs to deliver news of Necklord exterminated, promising to return. Back at Torin Castle, Matthew reports Qasim is taking northern defenses with 8,000 Imperial soldiers, 6,000 at Shazrazade Fortress, and 10,000 near headquarters. Humphrey suggests allying with his friend Joshua, Dragon Knight Commander, in Beer Blanche. On the way to Antii, they meet Vincent de Boule, the food thief, who demands paying Bill in exchange of guiding them to Joshua. Approaching Dragon's Den, Vincent recalls Humphrey's Imperial Army captaincy. Vincent reveals a secret passage, claiming it leads to Dragon's Den. Inside, they fall into Dragon's Den, meeting Futch and Milia, Dragon Knights under Joshua. At the Palace of Dragon Knights, Kreutz, Humphrey's former enemy, questions Humphrey's betrayal of Emperor Barbarossa, whom he defended against former Emperor Guile, Kreutz's master. Humphrey explains Barbarossa had changed and asks Kreutz, General of Guile, to support liberation. Meeting Joshua, Humphrey requests alliance. Joshua explains the Dragon Knights are powerless, the dragons has been asleep for months. Joshua tasks Lucan with curing them. Lucan finds they were poisoned and can create an antidote, needing ingredients. One ingredient is the Black Dragon Orchid. Futch goes alone to Gregminster Palace. Barbarossa appears, allowing Fudge to take the orchid, knowing Windy was responsible for Dragon asleep. Fudge sees Barbarossa differently than rumored. As Fudge flies away, Windy attacks with lightning. Milia saves him, giving the orchid to Lucan, but Fudge's dragon, Black, dies. Its liver is also needed for the cure. After Lucan cured the dragons, Joshua agrees to support the liberation. Joshua let Fudge join Tyr's group. Fudge, dragonless, could no longer be in Dragon Knight troops. Back at Torin Castle, Kasumi and Kryn capture Taggart, Warren's man, wandering near the castle. Taggart reveals Kasim is pressuring rebels and Warren's mansion was surrounded. Victor, visiting Warren, was captured with him by Kasim. Matthew proposes proper training for the Liberation Army before facing Kasim. The Liberation Army prepares to attack the Northern Imperial Army. Matthew plans a surprise attack. Imperial Commander Griffith initially held them off while requesting Kasim's support. But the Liberation Army breaks through. Matthew urges a quick march north before Kasim learns of the checkpoint's fall. He split the army, Lepin to Duha Fortress, Humphrey to Rockin Fortress. This will force Kasim to divide his forces, creating a chance to rescue Warren and Victor at Moravia Castle. If Imperial reinforcements arrive at either fortress, Liberation troops are to retreat. Griffith joins the Liberation. Matthew instructs him to feign capturing Matthew. Tir will infiltrate Moravia Castle disguised as Griffith's soldier. Matthew demands Griffith's trust for Griffith's men's lives. At the castle, while Griffith and Matthew play their parts, Tir frees Warren and Victor. Kasim tries to persuade Matthew to rejoin the Empire. Then, a soldier reports the Joustone army ambushed troops, sent to defend the fortresses. Kasim realizes that attacks on fortresses are decoys. Matthew manipulates Jouston by sending letter warning Imperial army's intrusion on their land. Moravia Castle is now surrounded by the Liberation Army. Matthew invites Kasim to join the Liberation. Back at Torin Castle, Matthew explains that only the capital remained. They need to bypass Quaba Fortress, led by Ainjid, or Sonya's floating Shazrazade Fortress. Matthew suggests Shazrazade, enemy is unexpected that Liberation can prepare boats in time. The Liberation Army attacks Sonya's forces at Shazrazade Fortress. After victory, Matthew orders the fortress burned with oil barrels. Tyr's group has to close the floodgate to contain the fire. Sonya confronts Tyr at the floodgate. As they spoke, the fortress is set ablaze, while Tyr's group is still near the floodgate. After defeating Sonya, Victor pulls her from the burning fortress with Tyr's group. Rejoining Matthew's group, Flick argues with Sanchez, who had ignited the oil prematurely, while Matthew collapsed. Sanchez confesses he's been an Imperial agent since the Succession War, 7 years prior, and caused Odessa's death. He admits conflicted loyalties. Flick nearly attacks Sanchez, but Matthew intervenes, fearing army morale will crumble. Gregminster is the priority. Lucan worries about Matthew's grave injury but agrees this chance is crucial. Back at Torin Castle, Matthew insists on advancing, but Lucan opposes his participation in battle. Tyr decides to march. Matthew proposes gathering all Liberation troops and uniting with capital rebels for the final fight. During assembly, Letnot appears. She reveals Windy seeks revenge on the world for the Gate Clan massacre a century ago. The Gate rune has 2 parts, entrance and exit. Windy possesses entrance, Letnot, exit. Windy aims to kill Letnot and seize exit. Now, the 108 Stars of Destiny are gathered, united under Tyr, the Star of Guidance. Letnot uses the exit rune, and Gremio revives, increasing the army's morale. In the final battle, Tyr leads the Liberation Army against 100,000 Imperial soldiers led by Kanon and Uber. Letnot uses the Gate rune to banish monsters, but Windy counters her magic. Tir prepares to use the Soul Eater, but Letnot stops him. Joshua uses his dragon rune, dispelling most monsters. The Imperial army is defeated. In Gregminster, Luke intends to Matthew. Tir's group confronts and defeats Einjid. Emperor Barbarossa awaits in the palace, wielding the Dragon King Sword's power. After defeated Emperor, Qasim asks the reason of Emperor's change. But Wendy intervenes and insults Emperor. Wendy wants Soul Eater, but this cursed rune which can control life and death, and eat souls, rejects her. Barbarossa tries to drag her out of balcony, to fall down together. His sovereign rune on his sword can protect him against any magic. Barbarossa says love to Wendy, but Wendy refuses because it's love for Empress Claudia. But Barbarossa insists that his mistake caused Empire fallen. He made it for Wendy. He entrusts Empire to Tir and jumps down with Wendy. Tir's group escapes as the palace crumbled. Victor stays behind to hold off pursuing soldiers. The Liberation Army celebrates victory. Matthew tells Lucan he hates war, then passed away peacefully. After that, Tir becomes president of the Tauren Republic. Letnot and Luke vanish. Click and Victor disappear after the final battle. Everyone moves forward on their own way. Later, Tir and Gremio leave Tauren Castle. We are not end here, because JRPG Suikoden 2 Remaster is coming next, and this is the most successful game among Suikoden franchise known to be the best of the best. If you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe for more movie-style game stories. We cover everything from classic RPGs like Final Fantasy to the latest mobile and MMO. Life's busy, so we keep games short and sweet. Get the story without the time commitment, a quarter of the time, all the fun. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon!